Okay, Derbyites, welcome to our Slugfest. We're going to talk about the Emmy race for Best Supporting Actor in a Comedy Series. There are some really good nominees. I'll just run down through them really quick. Louis Anderson for Baskets, Andre Brower, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Titus Burgess, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, Ty Burrell, once again, Modern Family, Tony Hale for Veep, Keegan-Michael Key for Key and Peele, and then Matt Walsh for Veep. I'm joined by Zach and Riley and Tony. And Tony, I'm going to start with you because you said you've never seen a Baskets episode before right now. And what did you think of Louis Anderson in this?
If I was voting, I'd vote for him. I think if the tape system was still really the way it was, there'd be no contest. His episode is perfect. It's funny. He has some really good comedic moments, and it's also incredibly touching, particularly the last 10 minutes or so of the episode. He's fantastic. I can't say enough good things about it. I mean, now I want to actually go back and watch the whole show.
Mm. Do you guys agree? I mean, for me, this was the performance of the year of 2016, as far as comedy shows go.
I wouldn't say it's the performance of the year, but I do agree it would be my pick for this category. And I love, in terms of the episodes, if we're just going off of the episodes, I love all the people who are nominated in this category, but I think he does have not only the most to do, but the best performance. And such a unique idea, too, to have him play a woman, and it's not even brought up. He's
Right.
totally believable as Zach Galifianakis' mother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like he put on the dress, he put on the wig, and that's
He's
fine.
not changing his voice at all. He's basically playing Louis.
Yeah.
Riley, do the episodes matter anymore?
I say they do not matter at all. I think last year we saw a number of cases where you could argue like maybe they watched the episodes, maybe they didn't, and then there are a few cases where they definitely didn't watch the episodes. What we didn't get last year was a category where we said like, okay, they definitely watched the episodes, and that's the only way this person could have won.
Mhm.
Well, if I were a voter, I agree with Tony. I would pick Louis to win. But what are you guys actually predicting will win at the Emmys? Not who you want to win, but who's going to take it home?
Well, I guess the safe money would have to be Tony Hale, right? I mean, he's already won twice for this role. He won last year, so that kind of makes him the default front runner. Although I wonder if any kind of vote splitting with Matt Walsh, who's never been nominated before, could occur. But I don't know who that would throw the vote to. Maybe Louis Anderson.
I think that Tony Hale.
Yeah, go ahead, Riley.
Sorry. I think that Tony Hale managed to get 3 nominations and 2 wins before they brought in another supporting actor. So I think he's kind of way ahead of the rest of the Veep pack. So I'm not seeing a lot of vote splitting there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Tony Hale is probably the front runner. It's funny because again, Tony Hale didn't have the same level of material that he had last year in Veep. I didn't think, at least. His tape has some really good moments, particularly the scene where he just screams at everybody about how they let Selena down. But as a whole, I just keep coming back to Louis. He gives the best performance in this category.
Screaming did help Tony Hale win last year. That great speech that he gave to Julie Louis-Dreyfus was probably what put him over the edge if they were watching the tapes. The Tony Hale Matt Walsh thing kind of reminds me of what's happening with Game of Thrones, because you've had Peter Dinklage in there year after year, and now Kit Harington comes in. But Riley, would you think because Tony Hale's always been there, he's the front runner, or maybe people will see a new Veep person on the ballot and be like, oh, let me try to spread the wealth. I like Veep so much, I'm going to spread the wealth and try to get someone else.
I think the difference there is that Kit Harington, people think that he has a good season this year, or he's been on the rise the last couple of years. Whereas with Matt Walsh, it kind of just feels like Veep finally had enough support that it bubbled over and they were able to get another person in. Plus, there are 7 nominees this year, so he might have been near the bottom there. He might have been in the tie. I think the thing that we have to watch out for with Tony Hale is a lot of these shows that are nominated in this category, this is their only nomination. Like Louis Anderson for Baskets or Brooklyn Nine-Nine only has one other nomination. We're in this weird phase at the Emmys right now where if you look over on the drama side, you've got all these different dramas that maybe don't have nominations in every category, but they're pretty broadly seen across the different branches. Whereas on the comedy side, the Emmy voters seem to be watching Veep, Silicon Valley, and Transparent, and not really anything else. Like you add up all the nominations that Modern Family, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, Baskets, Brooklyn Nine-Nine has, and that's the same number that Silicon Valley has by itself. So what Tony Hale has here is, I think last year he might have just cruised to a win on number 2 votes, number 3 votes, because maybe everybody has a different favorite, but everybody's seen Veep, so nobody's ranking him at the bottom of their ballots. He's the opposite of a passion nominee. He's getting in on the coattails of Veep, which is different than most of the other men in this category. So I wonder with the new system where they only have to vote for one, does he not have enough passion? But then again, I think that, you know, this is like the one category where Transparent and Silicon Valley cannot get nominated. So he's way ahead of all the other nominees in terms of visibility.
Zach, who do you think is winning?
Tony Hale, but I do kind of, you know, like what Riley was saying. It's funny because for the longest time I was actually predicting Hugh Laurie from Veep, you know, and then he didn't get nominated. Matt Walsh did, and I think you can make the case for a lot of supporting actors. You could fill the entire category with supporting actors from that show. But I mean, there is some strong competition. You know, Ty Burrell's won twice, although, you know, the bloom might have left the rose of Modern Family a bit. Keegan-Michael, yeah, a bit.
just a bit.
I was trying to be delicate in the way I said that. You know, Keegan-Michael Key, this is the last season of Key and Peele. Maybe there could be some support for him. Andre Braugher's got 10 Emmy nominations in total.
Wow.
And 2 wins. And then, you know, my favorite, Titus Burgess, who, again, did not submit the best episode for the second year in a row. And Louis Anderson. Maybe Louis Anderson could be the spoiler here. If you're looking for, like, the apple in the bunch of oranges, he would be the one.
I'm really worried about Titus Burgess because Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt took a big fall this year. It didn't get any guest stars, including Tina Fey, who we thought would win at Gold Derby. It didn't get writing again. It didn't get directing, and it lost Jane Krakowski. Everyone loves him, though. I mean, could he win this passion vote where you just pick one person? It could happen.
We did have a really good season overall, even though the episode wasn't the best one. I mean, the storyline with his romance with the construction worker and, you know, all of that was just wonderful, I thought. So he's a possibility, especially if there, you know, is, I don't know if there's Veep fatigue, considering that it got 17 nominations, but, you know, if they're looking for, you know, to spread the love a little bit, let's say.
It's interesting too because Tony Hale was the first, you know, person other than Julia to get a win for Veep, and then last year, and a lot of people were predicting Titus Burgess last year because he had the infamous Pinot Noir episode, and Tony Hale had, you know, what I thought was a better episode, but you know, we weren't sure what the voting system was going to show us last year, so it's hard to tell whether Tony Hale's win was based on his episode or just based on Veep's kind of surging popularity. This year, with Veep going up so much in the nominations and Tony Hale already having won twice, I mean, this is a category that loves its repeat winners. It loves to give people 4 or, you know, 3 or 4 wins. You know, you get your David Hyde Pierces and you get your John Larroquettes, who won 4 years in a row.
Brad Garrett.
and Brad Garrett. You get those types of winners, and Tony Hale fits into that mold. I mean, he's got so much goodwill from Arrested Development, and then to add this on top of that, with Veep being more popular than ever, I don't see how he loses unless they watch the episodes.
Right. And if they watch the episodes, Louis is probably going to win.
If they watch the episodes, because Louis is really the one thing that was interesting to me about this category was watching the episodes is that Tony Hale has a good scene, but he doesn't have a good overall arc in a tape, and the same thing with Matt Walsh. The main thing about Matt Walsh's tape is that everybody in the episode is talking about firing him, so you feel sorry for him, but he's not the one that it's not his performance that engenders that sympathy. But Louis Anderson just breaks your heart in that brunch scene. That brunch scene was devastating.
We've seen, like, in the past, I mean, the past 2 years, Allison Janney won for Mom, being the only nomination for Mom. So really, I don't know if it hurts Louis that Baskets was snubbed everywhere else.
He could also go off of like a real awards narrative too. I mean, this is a guy who's best known as one of the hosts of Family Feud and being the voice of a comedy show about his childhood, a children's show about his childhood.
And he won daytime Emmys for that too.
Right.
Yeah, he won two of them.
And here he is just completely reinventing himself in a brand new role that I think shows, I didn't think that Louis Anderson had this kind of performance in him, to be honest with you. So there is a revelatory factor to that, Like, wow, I never realized that he had this potential as an actor.
He has a narrative behind him.
Yes, exactly. And if they could get that out there, then maybe he could upset.
What's with Keegan-Michael Key? Who wants to talk about him and his episode? Because until I see a variety performer win in the supporting races, like an SNL person or anyone, I'm not going to predict one to win until I see it happen.
Well, it was interesting this year when Key and Peele got that SAG nomination for Best Ensemble.
Yeah.
And the Emmys didn't nominate Jordan Peele, so that just means that there's a ton of love just for Keegan-Michael Key. So that's something, in his episode, it's about what you'd expect from a Key and Peele episode. They're still parodying True Detective for some reason.
Really hope.
That's timely.
He does reprise in that episode his famous anger translator for Obama, so I think that's probably why he submitted the episode, which is a funny sketch, But I'm with you, Marcus. Until I see it happen, I'm reluctant to predict a performer in a variety series winning an award because I wonder if they think of it as real acting,
Maybe that's why. Because for a few years there, Amy Poehler probably should have won, and Kristen Wiig should have won, and now we have Kate McKinnon, who we're going to talk about her in another Slugfest. I think she has a great shot.
Mm-hmm.
I think what Key has... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Riley. I was just going to repeat that.
I think what Key has going for him is that he's actually on the rise in this category, whereas Ty Burrell, Modern Family obviously peaked years ago. Titus Burgess, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt was more popular last year. Andre Braugher, if he was going to win, he would have won by now because he's a popular guy, and he hasn't really gone up against the most competitive tapes, so kind of in either system, he's had his chance. Whereas Key and Peele, that's a show that, he only broke into the Emmys last year. This year they got their SAG nomination, and now the show's ending, so they have maybe some sentimental votes.
I think that may carry over into the variety sketch series category, which we'll talk about on another day. But I think they'll feel as if it's being rewarded there. But he could be,
Ty Burrell, we mentioned him briefly. He's won twice already. He's the only Modern Family guy nominated, which is quite a dive. That's what I was alluding to earlier. I mean, this show used to have all 6 adults nominated and a guest star. Nathan Lane would always be in there. So Burrell stands alone, but his episode is good, right? He gets high off of pot gummies, and we know when when you get drunk or get high, that usually helps you in the episode submission system. Can he win a third?
I think I mean, he could, but the show has taken a dive. I mean, you remember, like, for 3 years in a row, this category was basically the Modern Family category. It had 4 nominees, and it's one of the better episodes of this season, I would say, because it's one of the ones that has the family playing off of each other as opposed to in separate storylines. And he's very good with Jesse Tyler Ferguson when they're both stoned off of pot gummy bears. But if they want to reward Modern Family somewhere, I guess this is maybe the only place aside from it's like nominated for sound mixing or something like that.
Yeah, I think they'll win that one again. But
yeah.
The interesting about Ty Burrell's episode is usually, even when the show is maybe not on its best, he's usually always like the go-to. I mean, he's the one that's been consistently nominated at SAG. He even won at SAG. So it doesn't surprise me that he got nominated. I'd be surprised if he won with this tape. I don't think it's enough of a showcase. I mean, yeah, he's stoned and he's wearing a funny costume. But, I think Jesse Tyler Ferguson is just as funny in this episode. And, it's not the big showcase that he's had in the 2 other tapes that he won for.
I'd have thought he'd had a better chance of winning last year, with his tape where he takes his kids to that old movie theater and they're trying to take the block of cement that has their feet print in it, and it's that kind of emotional material that Ty Burrell does very well. And it was a showcase for his physical comedy skills, so that would have been a much better episode for him to win for. But that was last year, so.
Right.
I think that's the thing that disappointed me about his episode, because I was like, ooh, yeah. When I watched it, I was like, oh, yay, they're gonna get stoned. It was like, yay, Ty Burrell comedy, and he doesn't do as much physical comedy as we're used to. He's not jumping on cars and doing the things that he usually does in his episode.
It's more mellow when he gets stoned, I guess. I mean, I'm finding it hard to make an argument for anyone else specifically in this category, but Tony Hale is not what you would think of as a 3-time winner in this category. He's not over the top like Eric Stonestreet or Jeremy Piven. He's pretty subdued. He's often, hiding behind hedges or getting coffee for Julia Louis-Dreyfus. So I think this category is ripe for an upset. It's hard to say where exactly that'll be.
Oh, I hope it's Louis. Before we go, what about Andre Braugher's episode? I mean, someone mentioned earlier he's been nominated 10 times. He's a favorite of the Academy. Is the episode? Could that push him over the edge?
No.
We should say that his 2 Emmy wins have been for Homicide: Life on the Street and a TV movie that he did, much more dramatic material. And he is the standout of Brooklyn Nine-Nine for me, because he plays it straight all the time. And by playing it straight, he is so funny. And it's a real showcase of his talents as an actor. He's, in a lot of ways, better than the show is, I think, and that's why he continues to get nominated. But I feel like if he was going to win, for the show, he would have won already.
Did he win Critics' Choice this year or last year?
It was this year.
It was this year.
Came out of nowhere.
Yeah, the first year he submitted an episode where he was a co-lead. He had like 15 minutes out of the 21 minutes screen time. Last year he submitted just a very good episode of the show. This year I feel like his submission falls short on both counts.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of brings me back to Louis Anderson, because Louis Anderson is in so much of that tape. I mean, he is a co-lead in that. But again, do the tapes matter? Probably not.
We will
If they are
see.
just checking off Veep one after another, then
Right. Hey, at least Adam Driver's not nominated this year. What a shocker. I thought he could win even with Star Wars, with Saturday Night Live, and not even nominated. How does that happen, Emmys?
I mean, look at how Andre Braugher has held on in this category. Like the same year they dropped Don Cheadle and Jim Carter and all these other people that we kind of thought were filler.
Joanne
Andre
Trump.
Braugher, yeah, he keeps getting in. So there's something to be said for that.
mhm.
All right. Any final thoughts before we do the next one?
I guess if you're a betting person, bet on Tony Hale, but look out for Louis Anderson.
Yeah, it's like my head is saying Tony Hale, but my heart is saying Louis Anderson. So I don't know
I've
what
got
I'll do.
Yeah.
Oh,
you have
yeah,
Titus?
did we talk about Titus more in depth? Or oh yeah, we did.
So you could talk about it more.
Why do you have Titus, Riley?
Because I think that he has the passion votes. So maybe if maybe he got the most #1 votes last year is what I'm thinking, but then he ended up with a lot of #7 votes because people hadn't seen Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and he's not a known quantity at the Emmys.
Don't you
should
wish
say-
we could see the final vote tallies? Oh, that would make our job so much easier.
I think it's a polarizing performance, and I think that'll help in the new system.
hmm I would love for Titus Burgess to win. I love that show. It's probably my favorite of the nominated comedies, and I wish it would get some more love. I don't think it even won anything last year.
Yeah, I
So
don't think so.
yeah, it would be nice.
It's amazing how they added Ellie Kemper, but they dropped Jane Krakowski and they dropped a lot of the
Yeah.
guest stars. So it's like we're getting mixed signals here. Do you like it? Do you not like it? What are we doing here?
Right. I guess we'll find out next year if they actually like the show or not. All right, well, see you guys on the next Slugfest. Thanks for watching.
Bye.